Now, sometimes you don't want to use a connective. Sometimes a connective can kind of spoil the rhythm of your writing because you can end up with some quite long sentences with lots of clauses joined together. So in that case, what we might want to do is we might want to improve our sentence structure by using colons or semicolons to separate clauses. And these are pieces of punctuation that kind of act in the same way as connectives. They join clauses together. So here we have got a colon. So colons add more information or explanation to follow on from the sentence before. So if you're going to use a colon, you always use it after a main clause. That means that the point before the colon will always make sense on its own. So if we look at the examples in the pink boxes, the castle door creaked open. Now that could be a sentence on its own, but I actually want to add a little bit more information to that. So instead of saying the castle door creaked open, so Harker jumped, I'm going to write the castle door creaked open, colon, Harker jumped. Now in this case, I've actually got two main clauses. It doesn't always have to be the case that after the colon is a main clause, but you will probably find it easier to do two main clauses separated by a colon to begin. So we have a second example. Harker wore a hat, colon, it was raining, full stop. So just remember that unless it's a proper noun like a name, like Harker, you do not need a capital letter after the colon because you're still in the same sentence. Alternatively, you might want to use a semicolon. Now, semicolons are always used to separate main clauses. The main clauses will be linked, so the information in each main clause will link together. Now, semicolons have to separate main clauses, so it will always be a main clause before and after the semicolon. That means that before and after the semicolon could make sense as a sentence on its own. So let's look at the example in the green box. Harker heard the clanging of chains, semicolon. The sound was coming from the other end of the long, dark corridor, full stop. So that could be two full sentences, two separate sentences. It could have had a connective. Harker heard the clanging of chains and the sound was coming from the other end of the long, dark corridor. But what we're trying to do, and especially as a top set in year 7, what we're trying to do is raise the ambition in your punctuation. So having the knowledge of how to use a semicolon or a colon correctly will really add maturity and extra ambition to your writing.